Hello everyone. This is FIDE Master Viktor Neustroev and welcome to my 50th webinar. Today the topic of the webinar is middle game combinations, and we are going to talk about tactical assessment of a position. So how to evaluate if the position is ready for a tactical strike. Of course, we are going to cover everything with the examples of Grandmasters games, mainly the Grandmasters from Soviet Union. Okay, so guys, who is for the first time on this webinar, please let me know and tell me which country are you from and what's your FIDE or chess.com rating. Also, please tell me if everything with the sound and video is fine, and you can see not only me, but also my screen where I'm showing my profile. So this is the link to my chess.com profile. So you can add me as a friend. This is our educational group. And for example, those who attended our previous webinar, it was about Alapin variation, so how to play Alapin variation against Sicilian defense. So guys, here I published a PGN of these two lines that we covered on the webinar. So you can click on it, then download it if you want. So this is our group. What else? For example, if you want to watch the video of previous webinars, you can find it also here. If I refresh the page, there will be a new post about live. Oh, what's going on? Okay. Yeah, so live webinar 50. So you can watch the stream there. Okay, fine. This is my YouTube channel, and I want you to subscribe if you really want it, of course. Wait. No, it's not the link. Yeah, this is the link. Sorry. This is the link. This is the link to my YouTube channel. And if you don't want miss to anything, you can subscribe to my account, to my YouTube channel there. So for example, you can also find webinars here. I have a playlist with all webinars. Also, I published a few videos about our last tournament that I organized. So I analyzed some of the games there. So guys who participated in that previous tournament, you can just watch. Now there are 3, but I recorded 5, so you can watch them here on my YouTube channel. And actually, this is my website. So if you are interested in courses, you can find it there. Also, I think maybe the most informative is this section, which is called blog. So for example, here I published some interesting videos like from chess history. This is PGN with Alapin variation. However, I think the most important news that I have is this news about Honest Chess League. So this is the new name of our tournament, and there will be no cheaters, I believe. I'll try to reject them. So I'm going to send invitations to only people who never cheated or you never suspected in cheating. So no, most of them are my students, of course, but also there were a few other players, maybe 10 or 20 players who didn't cheat, but also participated in my previous tournaments. So the idea is that I send the invitations, and you let me know if you accept it or not. So the time control for this tournament is 45 minutes plus 30 seconds increment per move, and it will be 1 game per week. So you can find the information here. But if you never participated in my tournaments and you didn't receive a invitation, you can also participate in this league. How? You can, for example, ask your coach if it's a title player to contact me and vouch that you won't cheat in this tournament. If so, I'll accept you. So yeah, so it can be a coach from a chess.com coaching list of coaches, or it can be a grandmaster. Okay, so when the tournament is going to start? From the 5th of October. So there will be 7 weeks. What means 7 rounds from 5th of October. Okay, this is all the information. Okay, fine. So we have 19 attendees, not 90, unfortunately. Fine. So guys, let's close it. No, at least these. Let's close it. Uh-huh. And let's talk about middle game combinations. So I'm going to show you the examples, but I'm absolutely sure that almost each of you, when you even if when your position is bad, you're looking for a tactical strike. Am I right? So yes, yeah. So of course, but you shouldn't do this actually. Why? Because such a tactical strike won't be in your favor. Of course, it's okay to apply a tactical strike in the if your opponent is not so strong, and if he is likely to miss something, and then you're gonna win. But if you're playing against one of top players, then I'm sure he'll find the mistake in this line. Okay, so everyone who wants to participate but didn't receive invitation. Actually, I didn't send any invitation, so I'm going to send them later. So this is my email: tricks of chess at gmail.com. So send me private message. So let's continue. So it's very important to evaluate the position before you decide to apply a tactical strike, because if the position is not in your favor, then you are likely to miss something in this tactical strike, and it won't work. It would fail. Okay, so once again, so if you see that in this position the position is not in your favor, you shouldn't be looking for a tactical solution. So you shouldn't be looking for a tactical strike, because according to the internal logic of chess, this tactical strike won't be in your favor. You are likely to miss something, and the tactical strike would fail. So before you, no, okay, I'll show you the example. For example, in this position, black played c6. No, okay. So before c6, just tell me who is better in this position: white or black, and why, and no, how much better? Much better, slightly better. So white is better. Please explain why. Yes, yes. So white gets more space, and this is maybe the main factor. Another factor is maybe this pin that cannot be realized right now, but it can be maybe in future. Yes, and of course, white is slightly better, and not really much. Right, exactly. So black played c6. And so looks like he gives the d6 pawn up for free. So white replied with e takes d6. Now the pawn cannot be taken. To play knight c8 doesn't really make any sense, because in such a case, for example, bishop e5, and everything is fine for white in this position. Maybe knight c4 as well works, but who cares? At least bishop e5 is quite strong. What was black idea? What did he want to do? Why did he sacrifice this pawn on d6? Rook e3? No, rook e3, I think queen captures e3. Knight d5. No, knight d5, yeah. So the idea was to play knight d5. And after knight d5, rook d6 to make a pin. But this is where black failed. What did he miss in this position? So knight f6, okay. Knight e7, knight f6. Anything else? Rook e8. Okay, no. Knight f6, yes. Okay, so for those who said bishop knight e7, it doesn't work because bishop e7, rook e7, rook d3, rook takes d7, and rook d takes d7. Black is better. Of course, in this position, white missed just a simple option of rook e5. So, for example, c takes d5, rook d5, queen, rook d5, queen d5, queen d5, rook d5, and this is a winning position for black, or for white, sorry. So, because of the extra pawn and pieces activity. After rook e5, maybe something like a5 should be played, because the idea of rook e5 is to play bishop b4. And if so, then how should we play to get rid of the pin on the d file? Queen c4? Queen c4, what about b5 move? It's tough to send messages. Well, okay, queen f3, right, queen f3. Why? Because then just knight e3 and get rid of the pin. And if they take on d5, then rook d5, and we have the same position with extra pawn. Okay. So Okay, what do we have? So rook e5, of course. But the second thing that actually black missed was knight f6, and this move happened in the game. So what? Bishop takes? No. Bishop takes, then queen d6. That's why rook f takes on f6. Bishop takes f6. Rook takes d3. Rook takes rook. Both pieces are hanging. That's why the only way to avoid another material loss is to play bishop b6, king h1, and for example queen c8. Then bishop e5 looks fine. But bishop c3 was played in the game, and I think it's enough to win. Because two rooks in this position are much better than a queen. So, because two rooks can join the 7th rank and create real problems for the black king. So maybe it wasn't the best way to succeed in this position, but at least rook e5 could offer winning chances for white. Okay, so what did we have in this position? Black tried to evaluate the position, but probably he overestimated it and decided that he is better. That's why he can allow himself to apply a tactical strike with this knight d5 idea. However, because the position wasn't in his favor, so his assessment was wrong, he failed with this combination, and as the reason, um, he lost at least a pawn or got into a position with a queen against two active rooks, which is winning for white. Okay, does it mean that if you have a worse position, you shouldn't play tactically? No, because we shouldn't only analyze positional factors of the position to be able to apply a tactical strike. We should also analyze the position from a tactical side. We should analyze some tactical motives of the position. For example, if this king was weak, then maybe this knight d5 strategy would work, and there was something like rook move to g6 or some counterplay. So if there are tactical motives and tactical preconditions to apply a tactical strike, then it might work even if your position is worse. For example, it can be a weakness of the king, or some of your pieces are located as object of the double attack, or maybe there is X-ray, or one of the bishops can be improved, intermediate check, or anything else. But in this position, in the original position, so white is safe, and doesn't really have any weaknesses. So that's the point. So that black was unable to apply a tactical strike and shouldn't actually calculate it. Instead, black could play queen b5, for example, play positionally, offer a queen straight, and play this position that is slightly better for white. Okay, so Sheldon, by the way, where are you from? As for your question about how to evaluate when queen is better than two other pieces. So I had a webinar about queen versus two rooks, so you can go from there. But mainly it's about pieces activity and king's safety. So for example, if in that position our king was weak and black could deliver some checks and attack to the king, then we would say that queen is better than two rooks. In this position, both kings are safe. Moreover, white is more safe because this bishop attacks the g7 square, while this bishop is attacking only f2 square that doesn't really play any significant role in this position. So, no, you should just imagine how your pieces can block queen's activity, or your pieces can create something dangerous for the king, or maybe attack some of his weaknesses, while his queen is unable to do it. One more thing about two rooks is that two rooks are good when you are going to promote a pawn, when you have a distant pass pawn, because they can support it from behind, or two rooks are really good when you are fighting against a passed pawn, because you can create a barrier on a certain rank, kind of putting two rooks there, and then he just couldn't promote the pawn in such a case. Okay, so yes. Oh, and of course it's yeah, yeah, calculation is required. Okay, so I think I explained and you understood what I wanted to say about bad positions and the evaluation of the position before you apply a tactical strike. So that's why we are going to analyze another position. Okay, please look at this position and tell me who is better and why. Okay, so William, so you are so you understand the position like a psychology therapist. White after castles is better. Okay, it's black to move. And an important notice that now it's black's turn to move, because sometimes the move order affects the assessment of the position. Mm-hmm. Okay, Mithran, what weaknesses are you talking about? Yeah, the backward pawn, the d6 pawn is a weakness. What other weaknesses you see? Sorry, just again. So this is the position. Square on b6 can occupy, maybe. But of course d5 square. It's equal because both are behind in development. Okay, no, white is better. Why? Because this is a backward pawn. The d5, an important square, is under white's control. For example, knight e3, and the knight can occupy the d5. So maybe a5, knight b6 can help in future. Maybe not knight b6, but bishop e3, bishop b6 with the support of the a pawn, or maybe even without it. What else? And this bishop is not so good at this one. The bishop on e7 or f8 is a restricted piece. So that's why we can say that white is better. Okay, now let's analyze the position from a tactical point of view. Okay, black is about to make a tactical strike. What should he take into account? And actually, are there any factors that can prove that it's time for black to apply a tactical strike, and this tactical strike wouldn't fail? So, are there any preconditions for this strike, or maybe some tactical motives can be found in black position? What do you think? So you asked me about a5 move. A5 is good for white, but not good for black, because it weakens the b5 square. Okay, lack of development. Are there any tactical weaknesses in the White's camp? So here I have some notes. That's why I'm going to quickly look at them. Of course, I analyzed this position before the webinar. So White is uncastled. Yes. Okay, Sheldon, do you suggest to capture on e4? What's the idea of this move? And then pawn fork. Okay, got it. Okay, so knight f4. Okay, guys, let me explain you. So yes, it was knight takes e4 played in this position, but actually, as you previously mentioned, black is not developed yet. So white didn't castle, but it's just one move left, while black at least needs two moves to castle. And so here black is looking how to simplify the position. That's why he wants to play this and then d5 with a fork, but probably, no, not probably, but actually he overestimated this fork. And it's very often when we can get rid of a pin and get rid of the double attack, like it happened in this game. So what should he do? Maybe just play knight d4 or play knight a5 to trade knights. Maybe bishop e7 looks fine. But he played I mean, not he, but she. This is the game between two girls. The one is from Georgia, Nona Gaprindashvili, and the other one is from Romania, Elisabetta Poli. Okay, just let call her Elisabetta. 94. So d5 now. What did black miss in this variation? Who can tell me? Knight d6, and what does knight d6 do? What if bishop captures d6? So let's say this, that doesn't really matter which knight, but bishop captures. Queen d5. Okay, queen d5, bishop b4, and you are down a queen. Okay, bishop g5, bishop e7, knight d6 then. That makes sense. However, if you play bishop g5, you should analyze every possible move. So bishop g5, what if f6? Queen h5. Okay, fine. So yeah, bishop g5 was played. Here it's obvious that after bishop e7, one of the knight goes to which knight? This maybe. This knight goes here. And if king f8 or king d7, we play queen d5. In one case, we threaten a checkmate, like that. In the other case, we threaten to gain a queen with knight f7 discovered attack. So bishop e7 doesn't work. f6 is the only option. So, and here you mentioned queen h5 move, which is definitely the best continuation. However, this move wasn't played in the game. Queen h5, and what then? So if, for example, g6, what looks logical, how would you play then? Okay, right. Knight f6. I agree with you. Knight f6. If king f7, we can just play queen f3. If he takes, then bishop takes, g takes h5, bishop takes knight b6 first. Knight b6, and then bishop takes h8. Fine. So if something like king d7 maybe, then queen f7, king c8, knight f6 now, and then if he takes, we fork him. So it's a winning position anyway. However, queen h5 wasn't played in the game. Instead, it was played bishop f6, as you said. So who did suggest this move? Okay, right. So bishop f6. Why not to play this move? Actually, this move also deserves attention. G takes f6. And now queen takes d5. Because if queen takes d5, then knight f6, king f7, and knight takes d5. And we are, how many? 3 pawns up? No, 2 pawns up. 2 pawns up, but our pieces are more active. If, for example, something like knight d4, then we can just castle queenside, bishop e7, play knight d6, and play this position. By the way, I think we are very close to a checkmate. What white should do to be able to checkmate in this position? Yeah, and then gain a queen, for example. Okay, fine. So what? Uh, Here, black position was worst. No, was worse, and black overestimated the idea of playing d5, and that's why she failed with the calculation of all these lines and blundered bishop g5, f6, and actually two moves, queen h5 and bishop takes f6. So you see here, this double attack was not enough. So the idea of this knight's location that can be easily attacked with a pawn and one of the pieces uh, can be lost. So this idea didn't work because of a worse position of black. Oh, if queen d7, then a knight b6 is enough. Okay, fine. I hope it's clear. The next game fragment is from the game between Dragolub Chirich and Mikhail Tal. So Tal is playing with black pieces. It's black to move. How do you evaluate this position? Yeah, it was Sveshnikov Sicilian or Chelabinsk variation of Sicilian. Okay, yes, and this is Dragon. As for the first game, I don't know. So black to move. What do you think about the position? Who is better and why? White because of development. How, okay, is white much better or not? Oh, okay, white is better. White is slightly better. It's not +1 and 5. It's just 0.25, something like that. And white is better because of his centralization. I mean, most of his pieces are well centralized. White controls the center. Uh, and generally, his pieces are more active than black. So now look at the king side, or maybe at something else that can tell us that it's possible for black to apply tactical strike. What can you say? Any tactical motives that can be found in this position against white? Uh-huh. Okay, so it looks like right now there are almost no tactical motives. If, for example, we change the position and let's say this bishop is located somewhere on d6, attacking h2, then maybe we could talk about the king weakness. But not here. The bishop is looking at the other side. So Mikhail Tal played e5 in this position. What's the idea of this move? Well, he wants to take on e4 and play d5, of course. For example, if he takes on e4 immediately, then what do you think we could do? What white could play? Bishop g7 and then? Okay, so bishop g7, king takes g7, knight takes e4, then d5. How to play then? Queen d4 check or b4? b4, okay, b4, queen d8. And then? Queen c3. Okay, so b4 first, queen d8. Because if he goes to another place, then the d5 pawn is hanging. So, for example, instead, this or that move won't work because of queen c3 check. So queen goes to d8. How to play now? Queen c3 and rook d1? Rook d1 first. And then if he takes, then queen c3, and we gain a queen. If something like e6, then just queen c3. Queen c3 right now. f6 and bishop b3. So the knight is not hanging because this is a pin. And then knight goes to c5. It's an extra piece for white. So knight e4 immediately didn't work. That's why Mikhail Tal decided to play e5 to close this diagonal, so to avoid queen c3 checks. Bishop e3, knight takes e4. So, and then if we take on e4, for example, d5 is played. And after b4, queen d8, and he is fine because there is no queen c3 check. Moreover, after b4, he can even take on e4 or c4 immediately. So that's why we shouldn't take immediately, but we should play b4 first. b4, queen d8, and now how to play? What do you think how to play now? Should we play b5 or should we take on e4? Take where? On e4 or b5? Okay, knight d5. So we are already down a pawn. So knight d5 doesn't allow us to gain anything back. So b5, knight c3, b takes c6, and e4. So then he takes on c6, and we can't gain the material back. That's why here, instead of playing b5, we take on e4. d5, of course. How to play? b5, right? Oh, okay, b5. And now if he takes, then we take the queen and then take the bishop. And we are, well, up a piece for 2 pawns. But this is more than enough to win. So in this position, Mikhail Tal played d5, and he was hoping that it's enough to force black to play bishop e3 to close the diagonal, and then play knight e4 to simplify the position and maybe even gain a pawn, or just at least to simplify and get a better position. But because of b4 b5 idea, white was able to win, because after b5 the bishop on c6 is hanging. If it moves to e8, then of course queen d5, and white is winning. White has extra piece, and actually white won in this game, so it was Dragaloop Chirich. Fine. So in this position, there were not enough preconditions for a tactical strike. Okay, let's close it. Okay, what about this position? How do you evaluate it? It's black to move. This is the position taken from the game between Bent Larsen and Wolfgang Ullmann. So black to move, what do you think who is better? Okay, so for this position, I'm not sure where it came from. Maybe it was English opening. So it's black to move, I told you. So what should black play and how do you evaluate the position? Knight g7? Maybe knight g7. Maybe something else. I would play, so knight d6. Yeah, knight d6 makes sense. That white is better. Okay, actually, the position is approximately equal. None is better. But by looking at this position, we can say that the side who controls the C file gets more advantage. So that's why if it's black's turn to move, I would suggest to take, then play something like knight d6 with the idea to play rook c8. But at the same time, we shouldn't forget about this weakness on a5. However, in the game, it was played rook c5. And the idea of this move was that after rook c5, how does black play? So okay, so if queen c5 in this position, then what can white do? What do you think? Of course, the idea was to play knight d3 here, but if queen c5, then how white plays? Yes, exactly. So queen c5, knight e6. The knight is hanging. So if f takes e6, queen e5, white is better because of extra pawn. If knight d3, then no, there is no checkmate on g7 because of the knight on e8. But knight takes e5, knight takes b2, and then maybe a rook b1 move, because if in case of b6 we have this option: knight escapes, knight b6, rook moves, and he blunders the second. Oh, I mean loses, not blunders of course, but loses the other pawn, and white is winning because of two extra pawns. But of course, the idea was that after rook takes c5, black can apply tactical strike knight d3. And now if queen moves, then knight takes c5 and black is one pawn up. However, there is something that black missed. Knight f5. Okay, knight f5. What if they just take on f5? Knight e6. They can also take on e6. Doesn't really matter which pawn to take in case of knight f5. Let's say g pawn. Okay, so any suggestions? So queen c3, knight c5 is fine, because the knight on c5 is also protected by the queen, so it's not the big problem. Okay, I'll show you. So here, black missed a rook a5 move. We took the rook already, so that we may sacrifice the queen if then we take the second rook. So there are two rooks for a queen. But what is more important, we can create a distant pass pawn. And remember, I told you that this distant pass pawn can be a decisive factor when you fight with two rooks against a queen. So knight d3, bishop f1, for example. If something like king g7, then bishop f1 to restrict the knight. So I can say that in this position, white is much better, just slightly better, and black didn't worsen his position seriously, because the position, the original position was approximately equal. That's why here black was okay with tactical strikes. But of course, in this combination, black blundered. But even with this blunder, because the original position was approximately equal, this knight a5 tactics didn't lead to a losing position for black. It's only slightly better. It's only slightly better for white. So here two rooks are more active than a queen. Yeah, so it's the topic is tactical assessment of a position. So I didn't. I wanted you to show these combinations, but and explain the logic that there shouldn't be you shouldn't be looking for a tactical strike if your position is worse, and there are no um, tactical motives that can help you to succeed in this combination. So if not, then don't spend your time and think positionally. If we don't play rook a5, no. If we play something else, then we are down a pawn. So, for example, queen c3, knight c5, we are down a pawn. And actually, after rook a5, we should also analyze this option. But this move fails because of queen c3 double attack. So in this position, white wins. Okay, so let me close it. I still have two positions for you. This is the game. This is the game fragment from the game between Boris Spassky and Gunter Kaplan. In this position, it's white to move. However, I want you to evaluate if who is better first, and if the position is ready for a tactical strike. If there are enough tactical motives to apply a tactical strike. More attacking position. Okay, so Anusha thinks that white is slightly better since white has some more attacking possibilities than black due to the open files and the d3 bishop. Okay, actually, I absolutely agree with you about the attack because when I conducted a lesson, my student told me that black is better because of black activity on the queen side. So for my student, c takes on b2 looks really dangerous. However, it's not really point um, of this tactical strike that happened later. But c takes b2 is not really doing much. For example, king b2. Let's say it's a black's turn to move, or white plays a tempo loss. So then what? How to get to c3? Something like that. But if so, c4, it won't work. So the king is quite safe. Why? Because it's protected by the pieces around it. So yeah, queen h4 is quite scary for white, but for black, sorry. But okay, so you think white is better, and you think that the attack on the king side is stronger than attack on the queen side. So that's tell me what tactical strike should white apply in this position. Bishop h7, king h7, rook d8, queen d8. What then? Queen h4. Queen h4, king g8. And then queen g5, threatening queen g7. Okay, Sheldon. Bishop h7, then rook d8. Okay. Okay, you're almost correct. The task is just to calculate any further variations. Mm-hmm. Okay, unfortunately, there is a check from black. C takes b2. Okay, so you're absolutely correct. Bishop h7. If he doesn't accept this sacrifice, so as for me, okay, I would of course evaluate this position in general, but the first thing that is seen by the first glance is that the black king on the king side is absolutely alone. Nobody helps him. While we can attack with bishop, queen, and this pawn. So maybe we can also do rook lift. So that's why there should be a tactical strike in this position. Our task is just to find. So it's bishop h7. If this sacrifice is not accepted, then our bishop king f8 is played. Then how would you play? No, queen c5, not rook check, but queen c5. And if queen takes, then rook takes d8 with a checkmate. If not, then we take the queen. If king h8, then I think we can just trade rooks and play g5. Because here we can play either queen h4 or g6. Why? Because what can he do? If, for example, he does this move, then g takes f7, king takes f7, rook g7, and if he takes on f6, we can just play queen h4 and gain the queen, or just play queen g3 with a mating idea. So here we can checkmate. But queen h4 and then take the queen is enough. If here he takes, then we play queen h4 ourselves, and then after king g8, just f7. And this is how we gain the queen on d8. So another tactical idea in this position is this x-ray attack. So bishop h7, king has to take on h7. Check on h4. If king g6, we checkmate, like that. If king g8, then we play queen g5. So looks like he can't avoid the checkmate. Let's find any options. So g6 will face with queen h6, what leads to a checkmate. Rook takes d1. If king takes d1, then black can save the position with queen d8 and queen f6. That's why we have to capture with a rook. C takes b2, king takes b2, queen captures c2, but after king a3, actually, you may realize that queen a2 won't work. Because after king before a5, no, I'll show you. King before a5, king c3, no more checks. And checkmate is unavoidable. I mean, white checkmates black. So that in this position, he has to get his queen back into the defense. And now please tell me how white wins in this position. So rook d8, king h7, queen h4, queen h6. Okay, let's make these moves on the board. Queen, queen h4, queen h6. How to play them? F takes g7. You are absolutely correct. F takes g7. Why? What can he do? If, for example, he captures the queen, then we promote and then deliver a checkmate. For example, like that. If they don't take, but so we are about to promote, so they are likely to try to capture with the king, then rook g8 with the idea to distract the king and capture this queen. Oh, in this position, white is definitely winning. Queen versus rook and bishop, and the knight on b4 is hanging as well, and queen f8 is coming, so absolutely winning position. Okay, so this is how white won that game. And everything because he realized that his position is better first, and second, he found out that there are no defenders of the king, and there is also x-ray attack with queen h4 and f takes g7. So that's why bishop h7 worked in this position. Okay, fine. So that was Boris Spassky who successfully applied this combination. And the last game fragment that I want to show is came from the game between Samuel Reshevsky against Lubomir Kavalek. So they both are from United States. Oh, I mean, of course, they were from United States. So it's white to move. How do you evaluate the position, and what do you think white should do to be able to? Okay, what do you think white should do? Bishop e5. Come on, Anirudh, please calculate bishop e5 properly. Okay, so I agree with Anusha. White is better because has more attacking prospects. Yeah, and here you may notice that the queen is out of the play, and while the queen is there, we can use the king weakness. However, our task is just not to make mistakes that actually Samuel Reshevsky made in that game. So bishop e5 and rook e7, these are the only suggestions. What else can you maybe, or maybe you can somehow discover the ideas of rook e7, for example. What are we threatening with rook e7 move? No, not queen e7, of course. Rook e7. So, for example, what if he takes on b3? How do we succeed? What? Queen e5, bishop e5. What? Yeah, of course. Rook takes g7, and if king takes g7, then we can checkmate it. Bishop e5, king f7. Queen goes here. If king f8, it's a checkmate. If king goes to g6, queen e6, then he has two options, h5 or g5. If, for example, he goes to g5, then queen g4, and then checkmate with queen f4, bishop f4 move. No, he blocks, but then queen g5, the game is over. Or instead, the king can go to h5 directly. If so, then g4 with a pawn, and here either he sacrifices the rook with rook g4 or plays queen h4 and then king h4 and then queen h6 is a mate. So that's why to take with a king is too risky. But if they take with a rook, then just queen f8, rook g8, and bishop f5. The game is over. Okay, so maybe I was too greedy and played queen b3 for black in this position. What if queen b2? Almost the same thing, because now bishop e5 can be played. If rook g7, then instead of queen f8, we'll better play queen b8 with the same idea, but this is how we keep the control over this diagonal. And in case of this move, bishop e5 check, after which he has to sacrifice the queen and then lose this in game. So rook g7 was a real threat, and it's difficult to find anything in this position for black to save, because if bishop moves, then h7 becomes a weakness. If bishop moves, then bishop e5 is a kind of a threat. Actually, can you imagine it? But in the game, it was bishop e5 played. This is what Samuel Reshevsky played. How is it possible? He was such a strong grandmaster. Okay, tell me, what did he miss? And especially, Anirudh, I want you to find, because this is what you suggested. So tell me where your mistake was and how now black lost his game. So white lost his game. Okay. Okay, so I'm waiting. I'm waiting for more suggestions. Actually, bishop f5 was just a blunder. Of course, the position was full of tactical motives, but white shouldn't apply them now, but should also think about how to improve the position first to be able to apply tactical strike. Because in the original position, white had a very important advantage. The queen is out of the game. So bishop a5, then sorry, bishop a5, then queen g2, queen sacrifice, and then bishop a5, I discovered the attack. Now after king moves, black captures on d6 and wins the game because of the extra piece. No, there is no checkmate for white after this move, but it's absolutely losing position. Okay, so because bishop e5 first cannot be played because after queen e5 this is a check, and after rook g7, rook g3, so no checkmate and actually no way to protect the rook on g7. Here white wins, but that's why queen g2 should be played first to attract the king and then apply discovered attack. Okay, so fine. What happened in this game? White overestimated his position and didn't notice a tactical motive that happened in the game. So let's sum it up. Okay, while I'm trying to make a conclusion about what we covered on the webinar, you may ask your questions. So first of all, when you should evaluate the position every certain move, every move, and your task is to evaluate it properly. You should your estimation should be closer to what computer thinks. For example, how to get it? Just tries and try and play and analyze the games after you play them. Of course, not when you are playing them. Of course, only after you play. Analyze them with the computer and, for example, do kind of a flashbacks. Okay, and at that position, I was thinking I'm better, but actually the computer shows that I'm not. Let's discover why. So if you do like that, it would help for you to make more proper evaluations. So if you have a worse position and the position of your opponent doesn't contain any tactical motives, so you can use to play a tactical strike, then you shouldn't be looking for a tactical strike. You should play positionally and improve your position first. If, for example, you may notice some tactical motives like double attack, king weakness, X-ray, discovered attack, or something like that, if so, then you may look for a tactical blow, even if your position is a little bit worse. Okay, whose games can we study for tactics? I think Kasparov's games are the best for tactics. And actually, there are several books written by Garry Kasparov, so you can go through them. I know only the Russian names of these books, so. Actually, the games of Mikhail Tal. Of course, it's very often when he miscalculated, but actually, he was one of the best tactics over the ages, of course. Yes, so if you have any questions, you can message me, you can email me. Actually, I've never met Garry Kasparov. I would love to, but not yet. So, so I think no, I played with several strong players, but not top players like Gary. I think the strongest player I played was Michal Krasinkov, a grandmaster from Poland. Actually, he was a former Soviet player. He was about 26, 25, something like that. I don't remember exactly what his rating was. Or maybe 26, 30, 26, 20. Yeah, maybe. And I drew this game against him, and actually he had to make a perpetual check, otherwise he could lose the game because I was already 2 pawns up at that moment. But of course, I had just a few minutes on my clock, as well as him, actually. Okay, so any other questions? By the way, one more thing that you definitely should know about me and my coaching team. So if you're looking for private lessons, email me or message me on chess.com. Recently, one grandmaster, it's a kind of a famous grandmaster. No, actually, he was famous maybe 20 years ago. So now he is 74. So a grandmaster joins my coaching team, and for example, for some of my students, I also recommend to have a few lessons with him. And it's not actually quite expensive. It's a normal price, normal rate. So if you are looking for a coach who is a grandmaster, contact me and I'll try to schedule it. Okay. So thank you guys for attending. The next webinar will be next Sunday. Don't forget to send me friend requests for those who didn't do this. This is my this is my profile. Okay. Thank you guys. Hope to see you next Sunday, and you can always bring your friends to the webinar. Ask to tell them that this is a good way to just spend time to learn something new to improve the ability to play chess. Okay, so Sunit has a question. I think I can't say exactly, but maybe it's because you are too young. The other reason can be that okay, your games should be well analyzed. Yeah, so to judge about what happened and if it's psychology, I should analyze the games. But sometimes it happens with young players. They can beat a strong player but lose to a lower rated player. Maybe you don't have enough self confidence as well. Oh, you're 34? No, I don't think it's. Okay, I think I should analyze your games. So message me at tricksofchess@gmail.com. Okay. Oh, Sheldon, you are 1040 and you teach students to play chess? Okay. I started, I learned chess at the age of 5. However, I had a break, so I didn't play in tournaments for 15 years, or in FIDE tournaments. I played in some national Russian tournaments that were conducted, especially Rapid. Okay, fine. So hope to see you next Sunday, and subscribe to actually send me a friend request to my chess.com profile. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if so, you won't miss anything. Okay, thank you.